I built $1 million company while living with my parents. As a matter of fact, I'm in my bedroom right now. It's not my childhood home because they moved, but basically it's my childhood bedroom. This isn't a video about glorifying being a business owner like some of those videos you see where people travel around the world renting Lamborghinis. I mean, I'm 27 years old. I live with my parents. This isn't sexy, but I think this needs to be talked about because I think this is the raw reality of what it is like for most successful business owners. Because business is not that sexy. Being a business owner is not that sexy. And being financially stable isn't even really that sexy. At least not in the beginning. I think there is potential there, right? Like, why would you go after it unless you thought there was potential there? And I do think there is that potential there. I think for this story, I have to take you back to the beginning of when I started my first real quote unquote company. In 2020, I graduated from Western Michigan University in Kalamazoo, Michigan with a degree in finance. And on my last day of school, I started my digital marketing company. I had really big dreams of basically traveling the world, working 2 hours a day and making tens of thousands of dollars a month. But what that turned into really could not be further from the truth or the reality that I found. Because I moved into a bigger city in the Southwest Michigan area, Grand Rapids. I know for a lot of you, that's probably a tiny city. But for the most part, I had roommates. My life was pretty cheap. But my agency was absolutely bombing. I was not making a single penny from my agency whatsoever. So I was kind of spiraling into debt a little bit. I did eventually close one deal, and it was the only deal I ever closed. And it did actually allow me to have some income for a few months. But eventually I lost that deal too. And then I ended up having to get a job serving because, big surprise, one client is definitely not a whole business. But it was bad. And I was going into debt and I could not afford the lifestyle that I was having, even though it was relatively cheap. So I did that life for about a year or two. And then in 2022, I decided to move back in with my parents, shut down the agency and restart. And believe it or not, shutting down something with no clients is quite easy. That's where the story of CT Cleaners comes in. I drew up on a piece of paper, and I wish I still had this paper, but it was just a very simple business plan of here's the houses that you want to get cleaned, and here's the manager structure and all that. And I drew out the numbers and thought what I thought it would look like. It was just a really simple structure of a house cleaning company. But the reality of what a structure of a real business looked like was really far from what I realized what it looked like. Because I've never actually worked in a real corporate structure. Only businesses I've ever worked with prior to my college and during my college experience was, stuff like serving and landscape jobs, a bunch of jobs, odd jobs that were, me, employee on the ground. But at the time, honestly, I thought I did understand business. But compared to what I know now, I feel like I knew absolutely nothing. I was 1000% shooting shots in the dark. But I think in the beginning that if you want to start a company, that's how you have to do it. The timing's never going to be perfect. And you're never going to know exactly what you're going to do. Hell, you probably don't even know how to deliver the service or how to get a client or anything like that. But if you want to start a company, you have to just go for it. But in the beginning, to get the company off the ground, I made a post in some local Facebook group pages, and I copy and pasted that same post into about 25 different groups. And I actually ended up getting a couple calls, and I closed a couple houses. And that was the summer of 2022. And to be honest, for about 6 months to a year, that's kind of what the company was, where it was we kind of did odd jobs, did some houses here and there. I did a lot of the cleaning myself, which was not fun. And then we finally landed our first big commercial cleaning client, which in the beginning, I didn't even really realize what I wanted to go after in that space. I just thought commercial cleaning, here it is, whatever. But we finally landed a client, and it really kind of changed the paradigm that I viewed this company, because one client could be as big as 10 houses, 100 houses, 1,000 houses. These clients are way bigger, and they're just one big paycheck, and it's easier to take care of one client than 1,000. And when we got our first commercial cleaning client, it kind of started rolling because I was starting to figure out really how to market the company. I was working really hard on the Google My Business page. I had cold emails dialed in. We were running a Google ads, all those little things that you do to try to get clients in the beginning. So even though my first company did fail, my digital marketing agency, I did learn a lot of really, really valuable things that I still use to this day, like how to run ads and that kind of stuff. The business took off, and fast forward to the day, we have about 20 employees and a ton of clients. And I think the valuation of my company could be anywhere from $600,000 to $1 million plus. And it's really a speculative number because what something's worth is really what someone's willing to give you. I mean, there is a calculation with EBITDA and then a multiple, so somewhere around 2 to 4x for whatever we're doing. But that number really doesn't mean anything unless you're trying to sell the company. It really doesn't. But to the point of this video, I did all of that while living at home. I'm still in my bedroom here. Here's my bedroom. It's dirty right now, but there's my office where I do all my work. I'm sitting here recording this video right from the comfort of my bedroom today. I do have an office. That I do pay rent for an office, but not an apartment. So the point of this video is that it's not always sexy to start a company like this. To bootstrap something from the ground up is expensive. If you think you're broke in college, try start a business broke. You're really fucking broke. You're spending money on something instead of just trying to survive off of small paychecks. I understand not everyone might have that advantage of being able to live at home like I do. And I'm extraordinarily grateful that I have that advantage. but live somewhere cheap, man. You know, you can get a place with 5 roommates and live for, depends where you're at in the world, I guess. But where I'm at, you can find a place for like $300, and some places, you know, maybe $700-800. Either way, find some place cheap and bootstrap your company up if that's what you want to do. Being a business owner is not necessarily that sexy. It's not like that much cooler than being a 9-to-5. The 9-to-5, at least at the end of the day, you can stop stressing about the work that you have to do. When you're a business owner, the work never really stops. Like the hours of the day might be closed, but you're still thinking about your business. You're still thinking about how to optimize it. You're still worried everything's getting done in time, all those things. So the worry, stress aspect of it never goes away. But the one thing that I would never take away, and the reason I will never not be an entrepreneur now for the rest of my life, is the freedom associated with being able to go wherever I want, when I want to do it. My girlfriend has this PTO she has to deal with, and I know most people do. And it's so restricting for, you know, having to go do things or just want to take a day off. Like if I want to take a day off, I can just take a day off. If I want to go to Florida this week, I can just go to Florida this week. I mean, sure, I got to shore up some stuff in business and all that, but I can figure it out and I can go. And I've reached a point now in my life where I could easily move out if that was something I desired. And I do eventually want to move out. I'm definitely old enough and I want my own place. I want to be able to do all that. Like that's something I definitely want. But once the money does start to flow in, and I think this is applicable to everybody. I mean, whether you just out of college, you got your first job, or you're out of high school and just got your first job, starting a business, whatever it may be, and you're finally making a little more money and you could afford to go out. I think those years where you can accumulate that first nugget of like income of capital to save is so valuable. I mean, especially if you want to buy a house. I know nowadays it's fucking tremendously expensive to buy a house. That first, 10, 20, 100K that you want to put into an investment account that could turn into millions of dollars later if you do it right. It's the time in your life when you have the edge, you have the advantage of being able to get ahead at a tremendous level. Because when you're young like this, you don't have the stress. Some people might, but most people I find don't have the stress of having a family to take care of, a wife and a family that needs to be taken care of and everything needs to be paid for by them. Not to mention the time aspect it would take to take care of all those people. Life gets really busy, especially when you have a family. And so if you can take advantage of the low expenses and the time that you have at your advantage when you're young to start a company, you should. This idea of a YouTube video is something a little different than what I've done in the past. I just think that I'd like to do YouTube. I really enjoy the creative aspect of YouTube. I enjoy putting my information out there, what I've learned out there. But I wanted to show a more authentic, raw reality of what it is like to be a business owner. If you guys like this video and you want to see more stuff like this, please let me know. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. I really don't know the direction that this YouTube channel is going to go in because it's just me being me. I just want, my financial income comes from my business. YouTube, is my secondary thing. It's like what I want to make successful, but it's difficult. YouTube is difficult to do, but I want to do it correctly, but I don't know what genre I want to go into really. And I'm just kind of shooting shots in the dark and throwing darts at the board eventually until something hits, if you will. But I think that this is me. This is the raw reality of me working in my bedroom, starting a company. I'm constantly reading. I'm constantly studying business and all that kind of stuff. And I think the direction I want to kind of go with YouTube is me, like the self-development aspects of me, the financial aspects of me, the business side of me, give you a raw insight in what it's really like to be a business owner. So again, if that's the kind of stuff you want to see, hit that subscribe button. And I really appreciate you guys spending the time to watch this and listen to my story and all that. Till next time.